Thank you, Raj. Happy to be here for the second year in the Deshpande Foundation. I since enjoyed a very sumptuous breakfast. I would like to sort of relate with that story and then connect it. This actually I heard from a colleague of mine in a different workshop, and she gave a very interesting analogy for the ecosystem. And I sort of improvised on what she suggested to me in that meeting. Her analogy was, how does one cook a rice? How does one cook rice? She said, you need to put heat at the top, and also you need to heat it from the bottom. I added a little bit more versions to that. You need a good utensil, you need excellent firewood, you also need a kind of a supportive mechanism so that the rice that you cook also gets cooked at the right temperature, so on and so forth. In terms of the ecosystem, the experiences that we have is you need action at the ground level, what many of us call proof points, that it's important to show and demonstrate that 1,500 children would be served good meal, delicious meal, sumptuous meal of good quality at the right time with necessary logistics. So that's the starting point. One needs good proof points. You need to establish a service center in a village, the way BIF has done that. And therefore, once you have established that, so that's probably hitting it from the bottom. But you also need a policy system which actually takes note of these action research on ground. Otherwise, what Ved suggested is that these islands of excellence, they continue to remain, but one needs also supportive structure, announcements, interactions from the policy level. Many times in our country, as we have seen, we have excellent policy recommendations, but they remain in spiral-bound volumes. So you need some connecting mechanism, which I call as a kind of a carrying utensil, call it a hybrid organization, call it a supportive institutional mechanism, so that the policies that get framed in governments, in Delhi, in Karnataka, in Bangalore, in Hubli, are also able to get translated in action. But at the same time, you also need a kind of a support structure in terms of firewood. Firewood is in terms of financial resources, but many times there are instances where finances do bring in some kind of energy, but we also need large number of human resources. Just to give an example, and that's the example that I would like to quote. In last 7 years, there has been quite a big discussion on producer companies. These producer companies are seen as a substitute to cooperatives because cooperatives, for various reasons, have sort of lost their trust and faith and their ability to deliver to the people in the villages. So everybody is seeing in producer companies as a new mechanism that will bring farmers together, aggregate the produce that they do, sell it in the market, get benefits of information from the market, and in the end, we have more prosperity with the farmers. Now we have sort of seen there are about 200, 300 producer companies registered under the Indian Companies Act. And each producer company is doing, let's say, a business between 50 lakh rupees to a 1 crore rupee, 10 villages, 1,500 farmers, that's the ecosystem. Now you need a manager. You need a manager to manage a producer company handling a business of 1 crore worth of cotton or groundnut or soya or vegetable. Where do you get these managers? Our management systems are not probably, management schools are not promoting education that would encourage students to go to these villages. Our colleges and polytechnics are not probably having the curriculum to sort of provide these kind of skilled resources. So then one needs to start with academics. So in other words, ecosystem, as I see, and that's the point, is a kind of a puzzle that one sees unfolding. You promote a dairy, then you need to start looking at cattle feed. The moment you start looking at cattle feed, then you also need to think about marketing. Then you need to think about who is promoting dairy. It's women, their empowerment. Then the moment you are looking at women, then you are saying, is the milk getting out of the system? What about children in the family? So in a way, it's kind of unfolding of a puzzle, a kind of looking at the system holistically, bringing academic institutions together, bringing policymakers together, bringing catalytic organizations together, the kind of hybrid organizations that one talks about. And therefore, in trying to integrate, and yesterday I heard, and that I would like to conclude on that, I think collaboration is the key. Interestingly, all of us talk about doing something new, but it's in silos. What I see as a model in building an ecosystem and coming to the point in terms of reaching scale is, if large number of organizations are able to collaborate together and at the same time compete together. And there I cite an example of cell phone companies. Cell phone companies compete very fiercely in the market when they have to attract new customers. But in last 3 years, they have realized that they need to share the cost of the tower. You cannot construct cell phone towers all over the place on your own cost and pace. So they are collaborating. So at one place you are competing, at another place you are collaborating. And that's what I see as a mechanism where large number of stakeholders, as a part of the system,
irrespective of their apparent conflicting interests, start coming together on some shared understanding, and then they start looking at how do we cook rice better, is to heat from the top, heat from the bottom, get the right firewood, get a good utensil, and get several of these utensils cooking rice together so that we have some major impact happening. Thank you.